and that will be on air. That will be the intro.
Hi there, my name is Graham Lawler, and I'm the founder of Ultralight Startups and Ultralight TV. Welcome to Ultralight TV, our first broadcast, our premiere. Ultralight Startups is an in-person event that's been going for about 3 years in New York and Toronto and Boston. And this is the first time we're going to be running a pure web video streaming show. So we've been video streaming our events for the past 6 months or so on location with an in-person paid audience. Here we're in a studio at Media Training Worldwide with TJ Walker, and this is just for consumption over the web. So the objective here today is to take about 3 companies that have kind of graduated from the in-person event. They've all pitched their startups there and done very well. They've built the product, they have customers, they have revenues, and they're looking to take that to the next level. And we're going to be highlighting those companies and helping them get to the next level with the help of our fantastic panel here. The panel is composed of 3 people who have gotten to the finish line. They've built online businesses that are profitable. They're all making either millions of dollars a year in profits and or have sold their companies for multiple millions of dollars. So they've kind of gotten to that final stage, and they're going to be helping the startups that are pitching here today get there. So we'll be doing pitches and feedback and Q&A from the panel. So we'll introduce our panel here. Starting to my right is Dennis Mortensen. Dennis is founder of 4 technology startup companies, all entirely bootstrapped. Most recently, he sold his web analytics company, Index Tools, to Yahoo, from which Yahoo Analytics was created. Today, he's working on his 5th startup, Visual Revenue, a service that helps major web publishers decide which stories to put on the front page of their website and in which order. So thanks very much. Welcome, Dennis. He's spoken on 2 Ultralight Startups panels before, and we're thrilled to have him here today on the first Ultralight TV.
Thank you very much.
Our next is Laurel Toby. Laurel is founder of MediaBistro.com, an online and in-person community for the media industry. She founded Media Bistro in 1994 and sold it to Jupiter Media, now called Web Media Brands, in 2007 for $23 million. Following this acquisition, she is currently Senior Vice President at Media Bistro Inc., MediaBistro.com Inc., and I have a special affinity for Laurel because I think that Ultralight Startups is very much modeled after the kind of community that she's built, so I'm really looking forward to hearing her tips. So thanks, Laurel. And lastly, we have Spencer Fry. Spencer is the co-founder and CEO of Carbon Made, which is an online portfolio management tool for artists, designers, and illustrators. Carbon Made was founded in 2005 and now hosts over 350,000 portfolios and 4 million images. Prior to founding Carbon Made, Spencer founded hosting service Typefrag and sold it 4 years later. Both Typefrag and Carbon Made were profitable and bootstrapped with a total of $200 in capital. That's right. So Spencer's been on one of our Ultralight Startups panels about 3 or 4 months ago on bootstrapped to millions in profit, and we're thrilled to have Spencer back for the inaugural episode of Ultralight TV as well.
Thanks for having me.
So thanks, Spencer. So here's the setup for the pitches. Basically, we're going to have 3 companies pitching. One by one, they're going to stand up at the microphone, give about a 2-minute long pitch, and there's going to be about 8 minutes of Q&A and advice from the panel, from the experiences the panelists had on building their own online businesses. And then we're going to have some media training tips and some questions from Twitter. So feel free to send in your questions over Twitter. And I should mention how to do that. That's done using the hashtag Ultralight. And so if you send in any questions, use the hashtag Ultralight. And if you want to vote for the best pitch, you can do that using the hashtag Ultralight and a hashtag associated with the startup that you're voting for. And we'll tell you a little bit more about that when it comes up. So with that, we will get started. Nick Veneris of Zamba.com. Welcome, Nick.
Thank you. First, I want to thank Graham, Ultralight Startups, for having us today. I'm very excited to pitch, and it's an honor. So yes, my name is Nick Veneris. I'm the CEO of Zamba.com. We started Zamba in 2006 on $10,000, actually. So I think we were considered a bootstrap company, I think. Today, I'm here to talk to you about our relaunch, rebranding, re-envisioning of Zamba, our new vision, which is what we originally had planned in 2006 for the site to look. But having only $10,000, you can only create the basic layout. So now next month we're going to launch our new site. It's Zamba, new logo, new everything. And so what does Zamba do? Zamba is we take the best writing websites and social networks and we combine them into a user-friendly community. And with the new site, we're really concentrating on social networking. We've designed an author follow system that allows people to track what articles they're posting on the site. Like if I want to follow Graham on Zamba and he posted an article about ultra bootstrapping, you could follow that. So the types of articles you can post on Zamba are recipes, news, reviews, top 10 lists, even fiction. Our revenue model is derived from ads on the site, ads on the articles. So when you take a look at what the articles kind of look like, this is the kind of layout we have. As you can see, there's the author on the top over there, and then of course the ad, the images. One other thing we're doing is our editor, we have designed what we call Zamba University, which is really going to be a resource for allowing authors to kind of evolve and become better writers. They'll do this through tips. He's going to post interviews, Q&A, even some, I think, one-on-one kind of contact with some of our authors. Our target market really is anyone who wants to post more than 140 characters. That's kind of really what we want to do in a nutshell. So Zamba can be whatever you want it to be. But we're not, like I said, we're not really an article directory. We really want to be like an online writing community. But we're not just looking for like professional writers. So
this site is up now. It's been around since how long? For 4 or 5 years, you said?
Yes, it's up now. Since I think we launched in August 2006. So, but like I said, if you go to the live site we have now, it looks completely different than what's coming next month.
And what we're seeing here is the evolution of that. So you're
very much, new logo, new branding. We never really marketed. We never had the money. We just hired an engineer. I'm by no means an engineer. We just hired an engineer last year. We just hired more staff. There's actually 5 of us now. So.
And you've been generating revenues. It's a profitable site.
We were profitable actually the first year we started, and we also share revenue with our writers. So it's kind of our philosophy that we share some of our Google AdSense, 60% of our Google AdSense, with some of the writers we have, with all our writers we have on their content. So that's kind of a philosophy, not really paying writers to write, more just my philosophy of it's fair. It's what's fair because they're making revenue for us, so it's only fair we give back. So.
Question.
Yes.
So, if I'm a writer, which I'm not, but if I were a writer, am I writing because I want to contribute and I have a message and agenda, or am I writing to make additional revenue, some sort of income? So
no. So to start with, we're not just looking for people who are writers. We want anyone who would like to write. Does that so?
What I'm trying to figure out whether are you competing with the demand medias, Seed, associated content on one side, or are you competing with me, Dennis, the funky European, and Tumblr and the other sites where I can publish some of my stuff?
Right. So I wouldn't say we're competing with Tumblr. I think we complement Tumblr. Tumblr is more for photo blogs and things like that. We're looking more for longer content, but we're definitely not going the route of eHow or associated content. We're trying to find a niche, which is definitely there, of people who enjoy writing, expressing, and sharing their ideas. The make money thing it's not really even make money. It's just we're sharing revenue. It's a philosophy. So I wouldn't consider it the new site anyway to be like a make money type of gimmick or something.
So is this like about.com but with community or?
I don't know if I'd trade it like about.com. We don't want to have like Wikipedia type articles on the site. We want your personal opinions. News would be okay, but that's what we're looking more for the personal side of writing online versus just someone who's writing about something you can find already on Wikipedia.
So not how to, not Wikipedia, but.
Right, more in line with like a social network. And I'm not sure if I'm going to say there's not a site out there that's really doing this yet. I think that's the answer I'm going to say right now. That's not exactly what we're trying to create anyway.
Okay. How many people do you currently have on the original site?
So we have about 1,000 writers a month. users, I should say.
Quick question. So what's the advantage of having my articles and my content on Zumba as opposed to my own personal website?
Sure, absolutely. So you could create a blog on WordPress. With Zamba, what we're trying to do is have a basic community around it. So if you're new to let's say you're out of college and you're interested, or you're in college and you're interested in writing online. You can have your own blog, but who's going to read it? So I think with Zamba, we're providing that audience directly there. We're also with the Zamba University and some other ideas we have in the future of evolving that author, and we're going to call our users authors. So we want to evolve those authors who wish to become better writers and kind of walk them through that. So it just becomes easier. You have an automatic audience.
So you'll help promote my content through the system?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
So when you say you bring that audience, where's that coming from? Obviously, you're bootstrapped, so
right. So we've never advertised. We've done very limited marketing. A lot of it's been word of mouth. A lot of it's been SEO. So I think with this new rebranding we're doing for the summer, we'll be concentrating more on online advertising, marketing, partnering, just kind of getting the word out. So.
What are the exact features that are different now than you had before?
Honestly, to me, it's a brand new site. It's really my original vision. So a lot of the new features will be, we're demanding higher quality. And when I say higher quality, we're not an article director. We don't want internet marketing people. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for real people who really want to express themselves. And we're integrating with social networks like Facebook, Twitter, completely integrating. You'll be able to sign up with your Facebook account to Zamba, and we're also building that internal social network as well. So a lot of that is completely different. Our whole follow system, author follow system, is completely different than what we have right now.
What's the objective of all the changes overall? Is it to create a community?
I think it's definitely to create a community, but really, like I said, I think this is the Zamba we always wanted, and I feel like when we launch this site next month, it'll be Zamba day one. And we're just lucky enough to already be profitable, but that's really.
So, profitable.
Yes.
This is a grand word, and I'm a bootstrapper myself. So $10 if you don't take any salary, that is being profitable. So
yeah,
I get that part.
Yeah.
So since you derive, if not most, probably all of your revenue from advertising, yeah.
Yes.
What are your traffic numbers then?
Last month, off the top of my head, we had about 8 million page views. 9 million page views.
1,000 writers are generating 8 million page views?
Yeah, that's what we have right now, yes.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's pretty amazing. I think what we're trying to do now, though, is we're trying to get away from we don't want to go the article directory path, because it's very easy to get trapped in that direction. There's already sites that do that. And we're trying to build a social network community. So we definitely know the market's there. We know there's people out there who want that.
So 8 million divided by 1,000 times what? $1.50. So you do 10, 15 grand in revenue a month.
I think we gave away $50,000 in Google AdSense last month.
On random topics. So usually when you see demand media, they'll model against valuable keywords.
Demand media makes a lot of money.
Leaving them aside, I'm just saying that they're modeling against valuable keywords. So they have some sort of selection between not writing on poor content, where you're essentially telling us that anybody who comes in who are decent, honest, and nice can pick a topic.
So yeah, I mean,
that's a high CPM on me being in love with Denmark, which is not a great topic or high CPM.
Right. So we have basic guidelines. Like, we want our articles to be 300 words. The new site, we have a moderator, so we check all the content. We make sure that people aren't just posting affiliate links or just posting spam and things like that. We do filter that, and that's a.
But CPM is mostly on the topic, not on the length. So some topics are just a whole lot more valuable than other topics. And you don't have any selection. It's just that you've been able to, for some reason, cater to authors who are into high value.
We have some ideas after we launched
this. Do you inspire them with the
Sure, absolutely. I mean, some people write for money. I think we're trying to get away from that and build more of a community. But some people write for money, and depending on what topic you write, you can make some. But we're trying to build more of a community and go along the lines of just we want people who just want to write. So
how many articles does the average writer produce for your site?
The average writer is probably posting about 5-6 articles a week.
A week? Wow. Well,
so
Graham, can I interject for a second?
That sounds great. Okay, so we have a question from Twitter or the chat room.
So I'm David Carlos. I'm hosting our Twitter and chat room. I want to first remind everybody out there that if you have questions, please tweet them in, chat them in if you're on Ustream, and we will ask them. We do have a question for you. It's from the community. We want to know, how does the community respond to this? Because you're building it for them. What's their feedback to you?
Right. They're very excited. I think what we're finding is there's a large group of people who love to write online, and they're struggling to find a place to do it. They either write on article directories, but they want more, I think, a personal feel versus having your own individual blog, which you have your blog and great, your mom and your friends read it, but they want to be taken seriously. But they want an environment to be able to thrive and have that, and not only that, but meet with other authors, and I'm using the term authors. That's what we call our users. I don't mean authors like Stephen King, but in an environment they can actually evolve and become better writers. So there's demand from that. There's a lot of college students who are in journalism school who are looking for a place to kind of hone their craft. And I think that's what Zombie University and our editor, who's a veteran editor, is kind of building this Zombie University's resource.
So how do you plan to get more than 1,000 writers? How do you plan to reach those people?
So we're developing an advertising plan. We're developing a marketing plan.
You're going to advertise?
Yeah, we're going to advertise online and advertise looking for people who try to target people who are bloggers, people who want to write, and try to get them to kind of show Zomba to them and get Zomba in front of them. Also, with the social network interaction, we know that by somebody liking one of our articles on Facebook, it automatically goes into your news feed, and we get traffic from that. You'd be surprised, and that's growing. So we think that we're trying to put together a viral plan to make it go viral.
So how about advice from the panel? So at one point you guys were at this stage and you had built a product and had customers and revenues and trying to get to the next level.
Sounds like he's doing so well. I mean, what advice could we give him?
You don't want any advice from us. If you do the CPM that you're telling us you're doing,
Yeah.
don't take any advice from us at all.
Yeah, you're doing great.
Super impressed. The one thing that I really like, though, where personally I would find it difficult to make a scalable business, is that most of the people in the create content on topics and sell advertising against it, is that they turn out to be utilities. And you're telling a different story here, which is a story which I personally like, which is that you don't want this to be a utility. And that utility ends up with single views and a bounce, and I might find you again later if I happen to search for something where you rank high in Google, and that's that. But you're telling a different story where you want to build a community where I come back because this is the destination. That is certainly the part that I would focus on.
But I think Google's definitely part of the picture. I think any company that deals in user-generated content, at least most companies have to deal with Google. I think with us, we're looking at the future of like social network, like Facebook integration, Twitter integration, and not, instead of trying to compete with different social networks, we're looking at just kind of growing with them and making it to where it's all interchangeable. So if Facebook falls the way of MySpace, we can still have our marketing plan built around social networks in general, and whatever the next social network that pops up, we'll latch onto it. So I think that's what's important, and I think recently Google's making steps saying that, hey, we don't want the traditional content farm in our SERPs, or to rank high in our SERPs. So
I think just one more comment. A point where I would again probably focus, which I'm sure that you're doing already, is that so you're in a business where an advertiser is willing to pay you $5 CPM. Google take their 40%, so you're down to $2.80 something. Then you send out 60% to your writers, and you're down to $1.40 or something like that out of $5. There's a huge difference between $5, which they're willing to pay and they will be paying, and what you end up with. There probably needs to be some sort of plan where you can kind of bridge that gap or make it shorter.
Right. So I can't talk about it too publicly, but I'll be happy to talk about it privately with you. But we do have a plan to actually take an author and have them start at the beginning of writing at Zomba and bring them up to actually being a published author, or maybe even like amateur journalists. And we have a plan. So to get that would have more advertising dollars. So. that's going to come beginning of summer. We got to get this thing launched first, so that's this number one.
Let's take one last question from the chat room.
Now we have one last question about syndication. Do you syndicate from existing blogs? So you have a user that already has a system for getting their content out there, but they're not monetizing it. They're not making any money from it. Can you take that content and repurpose it for your site?
It's funny that you mentioned that. Our editor is actually working with some partners about syndication. I think mainly print syndication, but it's something that we're discussing. I don't have anything else to. We're just the beginning of talking about something like that.
Okay, that sounds great. Any final comments from the panel about this business? Advice you'd give them, tips?
You rock.
That looks great.
Fantastic. Okay, so TJ, how about some media training tips on Nick's presentation?
You had good enthusiasm. You clearly have pride in what you've accomplished. You come across sincere. You're easy to understand. A lot of entrepreneurs, they get so nervous they start speaking quickly or they're looking down. You had a good presence. And most important, you got Laurel to say amazing when she found out about how many page views you have. Now, the bad news is she didn't say that till halfway through your presentation because you didn't tell her. You buried the lead. If you have 8 million page views a month from 1,000 people, and that impresses someone like this, that's your lead. That needs to come out in the first 10 seconds. The one thing I did see, I saw sort of imaginary question marks over all their heads the first 3 minutes you were talking. They weren't quite sure what you did because you spent time talking about, well, we started with $10,000 and we didn't have enough money and I really want to do what I used to think I wanted to do 5 years ago. You kind of lost us at the beginning. You need a clear opening. Now, other areas to improve. You said, I think we have 8 million page views. There seems to be hesitancy. You need to know that number like your Social Security number. If people get the sense that you're BSing a little on something that, I mean, that's what your whole business is based on, right?
Right.
You need to really be able to tell people with conviction and confidence how many people are coming to your site, all those relevant statistics. And finally, I need a clear sense of what are you asking for? Are you asking for money? Are you asking for everyone here to start a page? Or do you want them to be on your board? What is the purpose of your presentation? It doesn't always have to be, give me $10 million. But every presentation you give, there should be a clear-cut sense of exactly what you want people to do. I didn't quite hear that. But overall, good enthusiasm, good passion. Yeah, you're out there, you're in the trenches, you're building new page views every day. Well done.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, TJ. Thanks, Nick. So for everybody in the room and everybody out watching on the internet and on the video stream, if you would like to vote for Nick and for Zamba for the best pitch of the 3 today, you need to send a single Twitter message with 2 hashtags, the hashtag Ultralight and the hashtag Zamba. That's XOMBA. And if any tweet that has those 2 hashtags together will be counted as a vote for Nick in the contest and a vote towards winning the prizes that we'll announce later. So thanks very much, Nick. And up next, we have Lauren Porat from Urban Interns. So go ahead, Lauren.
Thanks, Graham. Thanks so much for having us here today. We have been active members of the Ultralight community for 2 years, going on 2 years. And it really was one of the initial ways that we got the word out about our business in the early days. So we're very psyched to be here presenting again to continue to get the word out. Urban Interns is a national marketplace that connects growing companies with people that are looking for part-time jobs and internships. It is a low-cost, easy-to-use solution, and it's a trusted brand in the hiring space. So, a lot of small businesses, a lot of growing companies tend to turn to Craigslist to post jobs when they're looking for part-time help, interns, freelancers, and so we are a great alternative, a trusted brand in that space. We were created on the fundamental sort of principle that hiring is changing. People are increasingly turning to part-time jobs or part-time help and interns to grow their growing companies. And on the other side of the equation, job seekers are increasingly turning to multiple part-time jobs at a time to grow their resumes and network and gain experience. Half of all graduating seniors get internships, so this is definitely sort of a more popular type of labor that is getting hired for and that is attractive on the job seeker side. But there really is no great efficient marketplace for people to find each other. The big job boards are too expensive. You know, it costs $400, $500, $1,000 to post on Monster or Career Builder, and it's not realistic. Startups, growing businesses, they don't have that kind of budget to hire part-time labor, especially if they may or may not be even paying the person. And also on the other side of the equation, the job seekers, you know, they're looking for part-time jobs, they're looking for internships. They can go through maybe career services, which tend to have relationships with, you know, much bigger companies, and so we wanted to create an efficient marketplace for these two folks to meet each other. We focus on growing companies. We focus on startups and small businesses. We see a lot of companies that are sort of between 1 and 50 employees. You know, before you have an HR department, that's when you might come to Urban Interns if you're hiring for a part-time position. Can you go back to the homepage, actually? Sure. Because I was going to get into the economics of it after. We see, in terms of the types of positions that we see on the site and that we built the site for, a lot of social media, a lot of marketing, PR, admin, research, you know, the types of jobs where if you're a small business, a growing company, it makes sense to hire a part-time person before you're going to bring on that person as a full-time employee. But we see a lot of companies that, you know, when they're starting out, they staff up their business with Urban Interns, and then those people end up becoming full-time employees. So it's really just, we have so many great success stories like that where we really feel like we are, you know, helping startups grow their teams and become successful, and we have great you know, examples like that even just in the New York ecosystem of companies that, you know, have started with Urban Interns and, you know, gone on to raise VC funding and you know, now have, you know, 25 people and, you know, moving out of their their shared office spaces. So we feel really good about that. And a little bit about the product and how it works. Graham, if you could click on Find an Urban Intern. If you're a business and you want to hire someone on Urban Interns, you can go to the site and search for people. If you want to type just in blogging there, and then click New York for the city. You can search through the profiles. We have people, you know, posting their resumes, posting their links to their social media profiles. So, you know, we're really leveraging what those other social networks have done as far as job search and people, you know, presenting themselves for professional purposes. You know, we're not trying to recreate that. We're really trying to leverage it. And then if you want to message, if you're a paying employer, you can message someone through the site. And then if you're a job seeker, actually, I should also say if you go to post Actually, don't go to post a job because you have to be logged in to see that. Sorry, but yeah, you can post a job on the site if you're a paying employer. So you can either post a job and let people respond to you, or you can browse through the database and contact, you know, whoever looks interesting to you. We really wanted to empower employers to have all the tools that they need. You know, we're not an agency. We don't do the hiring for them. We don't present you with, you know, people on your doorstep. That's just a totally different business model. We wanted to, you know, effectively give you the tools to search through the database and, you know, come up with a stack of, you know, 10 virtual resumes that, you know, you could figure out yourself who you want to interview.
Anything else before we wrap up the pitch portion?
I just wanted to mention that job seekers can browse through the jobs on the site and apply for jobs, and it's free for job seekers. Employers pay, we have various price points, but it starts at $49.95 a month, and that's for one job post, and then it goes on up for multiple job posts.
Okay, just a question about the history of the company. You've been around for like, what, 2 years?
Yeah, 2 years,
and
a little over 2 years.
You have obviously a great product, you have revenues, you have customers.
Mm-hmm.
What's sort of the next thing that you're looking at on the horizon?
Just, you know, expansion. I mean, we're in 12 cities right now. New York is by far our largest city. We're going to continue to roll out new cities. You know, our plan is to roll out, you know, new cities every month this year, and to continue to, you know, grow in the cities that we're in. I should also mention that 1/3 of the jobs on the site are virtual, which is really interesting. So, you know, job seekers and employers, doesn't matter where you are, you can still use the site.
Okay, fantastic. Questions?
Yeah. Let me talk for a while. This is my area anyway. So as you know, I started a pretty popular job board. So I have some questions for you. How are you doing in terms of number of jobs per month?
Sure, yeah.
Start with that.
We're doing really well. I mean, I'm not going to sort of get into the nuts and bolts of the
we can
detailed
go on the
financials.
site and
Yes,
find
absolutely.
out how many jobs there are.
Yeah,
per
you
month.
can go on the site and you can
So-
find. We have, if you go to the browse jobs, we have about I think 180 or so jobs on the site right now. That doesn't totally reflect the situation because a lot of people don't post jobs and they just use the database to go through the database and connect with people.
Okay, but in order to go through the database, you need to have posted a job?
No, you need to be a paying employer.
Okay.
Obviously, you can browse, but in order to contact people, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I just wonder, you said that you are competing against Craigslist. So what is your point of competition there? What is your unique selling proposition?
Absolutely. So, we're sort of in the same price point range, obviously, as Craigslist. Craigslist is, if you've ever used Craigslist to hire, someone part-time, it's a mass marketplace. If you post a job on Craigslist, you will get 200 responses that day. It's a quality issue. And it's a quality issue. A lot of those responses, people set up, bots to auto-respond to things. It's a lot of work for an employer to sort of weed through all of that, spam. And so, we provide a trusted brand. We provide a place where there's a, mutuality of expectations. This is about part-time jobs. This is about internships. This is about growing companies. It's about people who are looking to work for growing companies. We've never had a situation on the site where, someone was misrepresenting themselves or anything like that. So that's what we really try to do.
How did,
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, so anyone can search the site for free and get a listing back on the job responses, right? So I can list it and I can get all the candidates.
You can browse through, but you can't contact
Right.
people.
But the social networking information there is all
No,
that?
you
Okay,
have to
so-
be logged in as a paying employer to view
So
that.
you just get the name of the person and their qualifications?
I mean,
or?
sometimes people do slip through the cracks while they're, they may put their email in the body of their bio. We try to sort of manually, we take a sort of manual, community management approach to that.
Okay, so you don't let people circumvent that system, right?
We try not to.
Right.
How do you get the word out both to the employer and to the job seeker? Because you have to have both. It's this very fine balance.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, our press has been really phenomenal, since day one. I mean, we've been featured in national and local media. So, Inc. and Entrepreneur and TechCrunch and Mashable and Wall Street Journal and Cranes, we've sort of had consistent press, since the beginning. So that has done well for us on both sides of the equation. On the job seeker side of the equation, we work with career services. We work to to have them link to us and have them tell their directors, to get the word out to their students about us. SEO, a lot of people find us through search. We're continuing to work on our SEO strategy every day. Those are sort of the key elements.
So, just, let's assume you'll be successful, beyond your wildest dreams, to the point where you'll have, tens of millions of dollars in revenue. I'm trying to kind of understand what keeps Monster from not doing this. So right now, the way the site is set up is somewhat of a similar structure. So you're not reinvented the way we go look for jobs, but you carved out a segment which you're just doing really well. If you're doing so well that it becomes super successful, they'll certainly not leave you alone. So they're going to come out with their discounted package where you can do it for $149, just like Urban Interns, and it'll be somewhat similar.
It's 49.
I think I took the gold package. That's just the kind of guy I am. So I went for the more expensive one. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
145
that's
then.
the 5 job posts.
So how are you going to defend against that? Because that will happen. If you're not successful, you'll be left alone. That's kind of...
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I think our goal is to just continue working on our direct relations with employers. I mean, Monster, as I said, I personally, so much more about this than I do. I mean, I don't believe that their sort of infrastructure supports a lower price point product like that. I mean, that is my guess, not knowing how they work, is that that's why their price points look the way that they look is because they, it's sort of the history of the company. And I mean, again, it costs $400 to post. They actually have a separate product for resume access versus job posting. We just were built 2 years ago. We were built much leaner. We were built, with exactly this product in mind. So we just sort of come at it from just a different, leaner mindset.
Sounds like we got a question from Twitter.
Yeah, there's people online, they want to know. So there's two questions. One is just basically how do you differentiate yourself from other sites that are doing something similar? What's that key thing? And then the second, of course, is do you have an ultralight discount?
We do. On the second one, I know that we do. I don't remember exactly what it is, but I will create one in short form.
I know we had one.
We do. But in the meantime, anyone can use trial 25, TRIAL 25 for 25% off their first month, no problem. And then how do we differentiate? We talked about Craigslist. We kind of talked about Monster and the other big job boards. There are other sites that are specifically focused on internships. A lot of those sites charge on the job seeker side. We have found that, it just makes a lot more sense if you're looking for an internship or you're looking for a part-time job. It's people don't want to pay to apply for jobs if they're looking for that type of job. It totally makes sense on, if you're looking for a six-figure job or something like that to charge on the job seeker side. But our business model is set up a little bit differently, so it is free for job seekers to apply for jobs through the site. And we also have, a direct relationship with every employer on the site. We don't scrape other job boards, which I think, some of those other guys may do. So it's one way to differentiate.
So what about advice? You guys were at this stage once. How do you get beyond it?
In the previous venture that I was working on, we spent a lot of time coming up with fantastic technology and sold it for thousands of dollars for only to wake up one morning to see Google Analytics provided free of charge. That's a rude awakening, and I'm not sure we were fully prepared for that. And I'm not sure I'm fully convinced that you're prepared for the day that Monster Career Builder comes out with a product which is highly discounted. I spent 2 years in the Hot Jobs office as part of the last acquisition, so I certainly have an idea of their cost structure, and I'm most sure they'll become leaner once they move enough people out the front door. That didn't, leave me, super comfortable that, sure, we'll just be, even cheaper, sit even closer. I don't think that's, defensible in the long term.
Laura?
Yeah, I think you've picked a hard thing to do because there are low barriers to entry. So I would focus more possibly on the part-timers because those people are hard to reach, and it looked like you had some pretty experienced people up there. And that would be a point of differentiation. I mean, it's about the community, and it's about making the customer feel taken care of. So I would try to bring more of those people in and also develop closer relationships with the HR people and let them know that you've got this special secret trove of highly skilled, highly useful part-timers, because they might not want a full-time person, they might not want an intern all the time, but there's always a need for part-timers who are skilled in certain areas. Otherwise, I think it's a really hard slog that you've selected because it's just a commodity, really.
Yep. And I would just add that along your line with the Monster acquisition, maybe try to figure out some other revenue models that you could come up with besides just job posting. That maybe, like, in case they do discount it, that there's other opportunities out there for you, and also just the job markets are just so tough because when a job's posted, you have no way to regulate who's seeing it, and just trying to narrow it down so you get the job into the top 5 people that need to see that job. So it's just a tough market.
Okay, TJ, media training tips.
You seem very comfortable after the first 3 minutes or so. You're passionate, your hands are moving. That's all great, and I thought you answered the questions very well. There wasn't a lot of hesitation. You didn't seem like you had to try to remember. You answered the questions smoothly. Now, areas of improvement. The first 3 minutes you seemed especially nervous. Your body language, you were like this. Hands behind the back. It's a very it makes anyone seem scared, man or woman. It's a very passive thing. You naturally, once you're comfortable, you're moving your hands, you seem relaxed and comfortable. you're also, especially in the first 3 minutes, saying lots and lots of uhs and ums. These are the verbal tics that make us all sound cluttered and less professional. I have for you a little device called a tick buster. It has the word it's a sticker. You put it on your watch or your cell phone. Those uhs and ums will disappear. Part of being a good, in a week, part of being a good presenter is using every single presentation you give as a mini focus group for the next one. So we now know what your next pitch has got to be. Within the first 60 seconds, you've got to convince your next audience why Google or Monster is not going to simply discount you and put you out of business. So use the great focus group research you have here to make your next pitch even better. Good luck.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thanks, TJ. Thanks, Lauren. So if you would like to vote for Urban Interns as the best pitch at this afternoon's Ultralight TV, what you need to do is send a tweet with the hashtag Ultralight and the hashtag Urban, U-R-B-A-N. So make sure your single tweet contains both of those hashtags, and that counts as a vote for Lauren and Carrie and Urban Interns. So up next, we have David Bloom of Order In. So go ahead, David.
Thanks, Graham. Thanks, panel. Appreciate it. I'm David Bloom with Order In. My business is a B2B marketplace for online food ordering. If you think of the online food ordering space, it's full of local services, Subway.com, and local virtual food courts like in New York, Seamless Web or Grubhub. I spent about 10 years doing restaurant-related work, running the restaurant business development and trade relations team for American Express. I then ran customer experience and operations for a food ordering website. And I know this space very well, and the hole in the market I found in both those places was that the market remains fragmented. You have great players like in New York, Seamless, as I mentioned, but you have customers scattered everywhere. And there's no one service that knits together these fragmented players into a unified, efficient market. In other markets like travel, companies like Sabre have emerged to bring together airlines and travel agents, leading to a world of innovation in commerce that wasn't even conceivable 20 years ago. In real estate, the multiple listing services exist to help facilitate the connection between buyers and sellers for a purchase that is on average $225,000. But if you think about restaurants, something that a purchase that happens for the average American more than 200 times a year, there's none of that. It still remains that fragmented local purchase experience. Order In solves that problem. What we do as a B2B service is we aggregate all those fragmented local online food ordering networks into a unified, organized marketplace. And instead of being another Me Too website or app, we make that aggregated marketplace available to anybody, an enterprise client or a developer who wants to build or tap this supply, this river of supply, for their own purposes. In the last 15 months since we launched, we've built a national network of online food ordering with about 6,000 restaurants covering almost 80 markets. So taking a friends and family round, we've made our network 50% larger in terms of restaurants than Seamless Web, covering 5 times the markets that they do. A little bit more than that, actually, as of this week. The way we make money is by charging a small transaction fee back to the restaurant or that local online food ordering portal. And in the future, we have lots of other ways to monetize, some of which will kick in end of Q2, early Q3 of this year. We launched at the end of last year with our first enterprise client. Wyndham Worldwide is rolling us out to power a virtual room service system for 5,000 of their properties across North America. So guests in those Super 8s and Days Inns and Ramadas owned by Wyndham will be able to log into their Wi-Fi system and place a food order without going out to the internet and facing the clutter of local choices that they might otherwise find. We just actually, on my phone just before I came up here, was a contract from the first company that's playing around with what will become our open API. I can't tell you who they are. They're in stealth mode, but it's a group of guys who recently graduated from college, and they're looking to use food ordering as a component to the technology that they're bringing to market later on in this year. So our growth plans continue to be to build our restaurant network and continue to push on that, making it as available to clients and partners as we possibly can. Thanks.
Thanks, David. That's wonderful. Questions?
So what's the difference between you and Seamless Web?
So Seamless Web is a B2C food ordering website.
Okay.
It's relevant in markets in which they're active. What I do is on B2B, I aggregate folks like Seamless Web from markets all over the country into a totally national, organized marketplace and then make it available to anybody else. So when I worked at American Express, if I wanted to have an online food ordering system for the 60 million card members I represented, I would have had to string together Seamless Web and Pittsburgh Delivers and Food Friends of Dallas and whomever else to create even the semblance of a national market, which is something that me as running my team at American Express, I was never going to bother doing that, even if the technical resources were available for me. And so what I can do on behalf of Seamless is help connect them through my aggregated market to companies like American Express. And interestingly, Amex signed on last year as a 2-year sponsor of my company. It helps to know the guy who took your old job. But really what I was able to explain to them is that if they could control that point of purchase for a whole new world of transactions, it was in their best interest. So they signed on as a 6-year, 2-year sponsor for more than 6 figures.
Okay.
This is great because it reminds me a little bit of what Foursquare is trying to do in gathering all the local businesses around and kind of creating an API around local businesses. And what you're kind of doing is doing that, but for restaurants and online through ordering, which is great. I've actually used GitHub, or not GitHub, sorry. Grubhub, Grubhub, right? GitHub as well. Grubhub and Seamless Web and all those, and there's definitely a fragmentation. And some restaurants only want to sign up with certain, like Seamless Web, because they charge 10%, whereas others charge 15%. And I think what you're doing is really interesting.
Thank you. You know, to that point, I think those businesses like Grubhub, GitHub, totally different business, but Grubhub and Seamless Web, great businesses. I rely on folks like them from all over the country in markets as small as Sheboygan and Gainesville and Bakersfield, but also big companies like, hopefully, Seamless one day, that operates in New York City and a group of others in about 10 other markets. What I do that's different from them is that I create this national pool of restaurants and make it available to anybody else on my client's terms. So for Seamless, rightly so, it's all about their business, their website, their proprietary network. What I do is I turn that around and I make it about you, my client, my distribution partner. And it really makes a qualitative difference, both in terms of the technology and the ease of implementation of a food ordering system, but also just in terms of the business orientation. The B2B, the B2C guys like Grubhub and Seamless are never going to work together to form this aggregated market. But because I'm B2B, I'm the multiple listing service, so to speak, hopefully over time they will all work with me and create this new channel for them to grow their business.
Are there enough revenues for the restaurants to make money? Because, I mean, their margins are not huge. Seamless Web is taking 10%. You're taking something off the top. So at what point does it...
Yeah, at what point do they just all go out of business? So my revenue model in its core, as it is today, so forget about the new stuff coming down the pike, is based off of the restaurant's existing economics. So if they pay Seamless or whomever 10%, I don't add on to that, I take out of that. So that local aggregator who I've linked into, they give me, ballpark at 50% of that 10%. So I get about 5%.
So Seamless or whatever will give you 5%.
Yeah, call it 5%.
So what's the key to getting people like Seamless Web to sign up? Like, how do you pitch them?
Well, it's interesting. There was a great article recently in Fast Company which talked about true grit, and it's not every business is built off of that one big wow moment. So what we've done over the last 15 months is simply call every restaurant, delivery service, and local food ordering company that we can find, and we've signed up more than 50 of them to create this aggregated marketplace. Some of them have as many as 600 restaurants, and some of them have as many as few as 6. But by stringing them all together and using APIs to bring them on, we have extremely low cost of acquisition and extremely high data quality with them. So we've been able to grow even without those big guys. There's also this whole fragmented world out there that doesn't get the same level of attention as the big players in New York get. So we have people in the pipeline with thousands of restaurants that you've never heard of, but will help us create that truly national footprint. And over time, I hope that those big guys will join us. We've had talks with most of the big players.
And you shouldn't take any advice from me at all on this, because I've done 4 ventures. One was exactly in this space, and we tanked. It's the most expensive MBA I've ever taken. So don't listen to anything. However, I'm completely in love with the idea. Was I an investor, I would invest on the spot. I think this completely rocks. One, and this is what I failed on. So that's a question you can solve for me. I'm not going to go into the space again, certainly not. But you say data quality. And I'm actually most sure you have high data quality. We failed on quality of product. So who takes the responsibility here?
Right.
Because in the end, I'm the consumer. I don't really care whether you have high data quality or not. If my pizza is late and cold, and not what I ordered, I need to blame somebody.
Right. So there's two layers to that. There's one is how do we make sure our data is correct, and then there's the service quality issue on how does the consumer experience that data and how do they get their product. So in the first part, we have these APIs that sweep that the local delivery services or the restaurant's own website twice a day, obviously with their permission, or hopefully soon more. I'm looking at it, our CTO in the audience, to make sure that whatever they have on their website that they're using to run their business is what we have. In sort of the standard world of co-op restaurant marketing, there's a lot of faxing of menus back and forth, and you got to remember, oh, I forgot to update that guy and fax that. We don't have any additional layer of trauma on top of that. We get whatever they have on their own website. The second part is the customer experience quality, which we actually have a lot less control over. So we are a distributor, and we're in that sense hands off. The customer knows who they're dealing with at the end point, so they know that Joe's Delivery Service of Oklahoma City is bringing their food, and it's coming from Bob's Deli. We act as the facilitator of that, and all the customer experience and the customer service is directed to those local folks who are closest to the point of service delivery. Ultimately, of course, we have to take an escalation.
So Amex signs a deal with you, and they end up, in some sense, relying on you delivering a good product. Mm-hmm. And you pushing that responsibility out to the restaurant is fair, but they probably don't care.
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, you look at it in two ways. There's what is their ability to own that customer service quality today, which is close to zero, and what am I adding to it, which is better than that. So we will have transparency into customer complaint, and over time we're going to do surveys, and we're going to make sure that quality is there, both in terms of the food and the experience, and for us as well, right? I mean, are we creating a user experience that people feel good about and want to recommend and shop with? So we'll have some of that feedback, and my service level agreements with the local service provider allows me to make adjustments if quality doesn't meet certain standards. So we can enforce to a certain extent, but generally speaking, we're relying on the local guy to execute that individual order.
And just one final question, because this is where we failed. So I'm super curious here. So you aggregate from, say, a local network with 60-something restaurants, and they have a different level of quality or a different level of standard compared to you, where they're okay in 1 out of 5 orders not really being up to standards, and they want to keep them in their network. Are you going to become selective on their networks, or is it all or nothing kind of thing?
Well, our agreements allow us to be selective in terms of which restaurants we promote and how we promote. Right, so we could put someone at the top of the list versus the bottom of the list, and ultimately, if we choose to put reviews on our site or through our pipes, it'll be pretty clear. But right now, we're taking a very cautious approach with that. We don't want to be just another review service. We want to really try and get this off the ground and make everyone succeed. So we're really focusing on helping our partners improve service quality. I think there's one
question. So Seamless Web generally takes 10%, but I know that they'll take as little as 5%, depending if it's hard for them to get a restaurant off the ground. Do you guys have similar deals in place with your vendors? Like if you really want to get a site up, you'll take less, or how do you guys work that?
Now, we have very little margin. Seamless can choose, to take 15%, which they take in a lot of cases, or as little as whatever. And in some cases, I've seen them take very little to get a certain restaurant, and then over time work them up the ladder. We don't have that kind of wiggle room, so we basically just say, look, here's our deal. We work with that service's local economics, so if they have a different economic model, we might be able to make some adjustments in there. But generally speaking, we have obligations to ourselves to maintain a revenue, and it works out pretty well. I've had very, very few declines because of economics, almost none.
What are your economics? Do you guys publish it on the site?
We do not publish. We do not publish the supplier economics, but ballpark it. We get about 5% per order, and then we share a piece back with our distribution partner. So Wyndham makes some money, or even that local developer makes money. For the developers we hope to work with, we don't want that. A lot of developers have that decision point: do I charge $1.99 in the App Store for my app, or do I give it away for free and try and monetize it through ads? I would rather they give their app away for free, but be able to make some money off of the utility we provide them for their app. Quite frankly, they can make an awful lot more by adding a food component to it. And I think that's what that startup we're working with is looking to do.
Wonderful. Do you guys have any final advice or suggestions for David on Order In? Anything you haven't mentioned so far?
Don't take funding, keep this for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you still own the company?
We've raised some friends and family money, but other than that, that's it.
Okay. What's
So
your
far.
exit strategy?
Well, there's two. One, there's an awful lot of investor interest in the space. For those who've been reading TechCrunch recently, probably about $100 million have been poured into online food ordering companies in the last 12 months. So quite frankly, any of those that are looking for an add-on business could be, could look for an acquisition. We also think that this company can scale remarkably given the types of national opportunities we can serve. And our exit strategy may just be building a really big company that acquires other people.
Great.
Wonderful. Thanks,
Thanks.
David. So TJ, presentation tips?
You really exude the sense that you know your stuff. That came through clearly, not with arrogance, but you just exuded that you know every inch of this space, and you spoke with authority. I really like when you start talking about how Amex is using it in Wyndham. Suggestion that put that a little sooner. I saw a bunch of eyes get big when people heard that Amex is using you, giving you 6 figures, when Wyndham has you on all of their properties. That's gold right there. I would get that out in the first minute. The other big suggestion to take you from good, very good to outstanding, let's tell a story about a conversation with a real client at an Amex and recount a conversation that person says, I got tired of dealing with this seamless web and this, and I was up till 2 in the morning, and wow, you solved my problems. You've had conversations like that before,
Yes.
right? Give us a story involving a conversation with a real customer about a real problem and how you solved it. Abstraction is the #1 problem all speakers have. And on the one hand, you want to talk about all the data and all the big picture, but tell us a story involving one customer, what they were feeling, how you helped them. That's what people will remember in the pit of their stomach, and that's what will get them talking about you even longer. Good job.
Thank you.
Fantastic, TJ. Thank
Can
you.
I also add something?
Go ahead.
When you first started, you weren't really looking at us. It felt like you were just kind of talking, to the distance. I think it would have helped to connect more with the audience if you were like really looking at us and explaining how, what the company is all about, how excited you are.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, David.
Thank you.
So if you would like to vote for David and for Order In, you can use the hashtag Ultralight and the hashtag Order. And Order is spelled O-R-D-R in this case. I think we'll probably be able to catch it if you spell it another way, but it's preferable that you spell it O-R-D-R, which is the name of their site. So David Bloom, Order In, use a single tweet with the hashtag Ultralight and #Order, O-R-D-R. So as a final reminder, we're going to be closing up the voting momentarily. So now you've seen all 3 pitches, and you have to make your decision. You could vote for all 3, you could vote for 2, you could vote for 1, as you wish. Here's a reminder of the various hashtags that you use. So you need to use 2 hashtags for every vote. First one is Ultralight, and the second one is the one that's associated with the particular startup that you're voting for. So we will have results from that momentarily. And in the meantime, we are going to thank our sponsor. So sponsoring Ultralight TV, our first ever episode, is Datagram. Datagram is a server hosting and internet services company dedicated to providing customers with first-in-class technology, security, and support so they can focus on their business while Datagram takes care of the rest. With reliable servers, unlimited bandwidth, secure data centers, and a suite of managed services, Datagram's customers' data and operations will be taken care of all day, every day, 24/7, 365. Datagram has a proven track record of hosting major media websites and top blogs such as the Huffington Post and Gawker, delivering them the bandwidth they need when they need it. For the Ultralight community, Datagram offers flexible and cost-effective virtual hosting, allowing the Ultralights to have the reliability and support they need at a reasonable cost while positioning them with a provider that can help grow their business to the expectations and beyond. So thanks very much to Datagram for supporting Ultralight TV, first ever broadcast. We also have a set of other sponsors that are sponsoring Ultralight Startups events, which we'd like to mention. So those are Microsoft with its BizSpark program for startups, which is a technology platform that you can use to access Microsoft's development tools for free for 3 years. Duane Morris is a law firm, a full-service law firm that specializes in startups and just about everything else to do with business and financing. So you should consider using Duane Morris as your lawyer if you're looking to trademark or patent or incorporate your company. Amazon Web Services is a cloud-based hosting and compute service that you might want to use. It is also the sponsor of one of the prizes of the pitch contest, which we'll be announcing the winners of momentarily. Media Training Worldwide, so we're very thankful to TJ Walker and his team here at Media Training Worldwide for providing our space and some of the prizes for the pitch contest as well. So thanks, TJ. And Seamless Web, which you just heard about in our last presentation, sponsors food for Ultralight Startups events. So consider using them if you're not using Order In. So pitch contest prizes. The prizes for the pitch contest today, we've got 3 pitches. One of them is going to win the grand prize. The grand prize is $200 in Amazon Web Services credits, which you can use to store data from your website or their compute services. So that's a great prize for any startup that is hosting lots of data. And also a $2,000 media training and presentation package from Media Training Worldwide. So that'll be done right here, I believe, in TJ Walker's studios at Media Training Worldwide. So those are the prizes. And now I believe we have David Carlos that's going to announce to us with great fanfare who is the winner of the pitch contest.
Well, Graham, we haven't actually closed the contest yet. You have to do it, and the timing is going to be critical because it's going 1, 1, 1. We've got 2 leaders, and they're battling for the win. So
Wow.
it's a battle to the death.
Okay.
Throw down the gauntlet.
Let's close it right now.
Done. Who is it? Tell me. Great fanfare.
And
Order in by 1.
Order In takes it by 1. There it is. That's the answer. Order In. Congratulations. $200 from Amazon. $2,000 for media
Congratulations,
training.
David.
Thank you, Graham.
Well
Good
done.
job.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thanks
And
to the voting public on the internet.
he overcame the fact that he pitched last. So all the votes that were accumulating
Yeah.
over the first
Yeah.
half hour could not be enough to surmount David Bloom.
Well, my mother-in-law was watching at home, so she was probably tweeting the whole time through. So.
I heard she set up 50 Twitter accounts last night.
Yes.
Just so she could cast all these votes.
Exactly.
Wonderful. Well, thanks very much, David.
Thank you very
and
much.
Congratulations to you. And thanks very much to Dennis, to Laurel, and to Spencer for their great comments and feedback on the panel today.
Thank you.
Hope to have you back at another Ultralight event in the future. Ultralight Startups, I should mention, is hosting an event Thursday, April 7th on mobile app startups. This is going to be our traditional event format where an in-person paid audience shows up. It's going to be hosted at NYU. There's about 10 or 12 startup pitches and a panel discussion on how to create and monetize web application or mobile applications. So Thursday, April 7th, be sure and check that out. If you're in New York, in Boston, or in Toronto, you can attend in person. And if you're anywhere else, or if you're in any of those cities, you can also watch us on a free live video stream right here at ultralight.tv. So thanks very much. And do I have anything else? I think that's it. Well, thanks very much for watching and tuning in, and welcome to Ultralight Startups.